What is up, everyone? Welcome to Volume 2 of Snap on Ego. My name is Brad, otherwise known as Bradcifer, and I'm joined by Chris, also known as Bootman. Hi, Chris.
Hello. Happy Volume 2.
I know that we are getting it rolling. We're trying to, get everything underneath our belts, kind of get the chemistry going, figure out how we did. I think we did a pretty good first episode. Saw feedback in the comments about like audio and stuff like that. You can see Chris is wearing headphones this time, so we should have
Those
no
watching
echo
can
issue.
see.
Yeah. And then I'm going to be sure in post to kind of bump up our volume overall a little bit. That was a bit lower than I would have liked. Otherwise, I think we did pretty good. So give yourself a round of applause, Chris. I think we did pretty fucking good.
Definitely killed it.
All right, so we have a few topics we want to go over today, and you can see them right there on the bottom of the screen in our wonderful card forms. And of course, the first one that we really want to go over is we have a new meta. So if you listened to us last week, we were kind of talking about how they were going to adjust, Zabu and Silver Surfer, see what they're going to do. We threw out some ideas and things like that, and we got it. So we got Zabu down to a 2/2. And it only reduces the 4 drops by 1 instead of being by 2. And then, of course, we have Silver Surfer becoming a 3/2, buffing 3 drops by 2 rather than 3. So first things first, how do you feel about the nerfs? Do you think they were good? Do you think they hit the sweet spot? Do you think they did anything a little bit too much or something you didn't want to see? Or how you feel?
Yeah, like for me, because I was running a lot of Zabu Darkhawk previously, and when they came out with the Zabu nerfs, I was like, okay, this isn't a big deal. I didn't play too much Surfer, and I was like, this Surfer nerf isn't too bad. But I was recently on the Snap Judgments podcast, and we were talking about, I'm like, yeah, I guess the Surfer nerfs were pretty bad. Like, I was saying, like, whenever I face like a Surfer deck and somebody's still running it, I'm like, oh, this is adorable. Like,
Yeah,
I don't think I've lost to a single Surfer deck, but I do think Zabu is still usable. We're seeing it pop up in like negative decks. People are rotating it with like Psylocke, and yeah, and still like I made a video the other day on like running like a Zabu Darkhawk deck, still usable, and yeah, it's still pretty decent. Being able to drop 2 4-drops on the last turn, like you can make some stuff happen. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, and I've been playing a lot of negative, actually, because I recently unlocked Bast in one of my reserves, and I was like, oh, fuck yeah, I can finally play negative to its full potential. And I have Darkhawk in it, so I'm like, yeah, Darkhawk just being flipped as a 1/4, and then getting pumped to just be a, on average, like a 10 power, pretty even with like only 2 or 3 cards in their deck. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty sick. I'm pretty happy about that. And Zabu gives the nice play to do like Wong stuff as well. So I got I got Mystique in there, obviously, with like, Iron Man, things like that. And then of course I have the wonderful, everyone's favorite combo of Gambit.
You're brutal.
I have to throw him in there. Now I'm being a little weird, I guess, about my negative list because I'm not running Rogue like at all.
Really? Yeah. I've swapped her in and out. It's weird. Like I think, maybe even a week ago or something, Rogue was like a really good play, especially when Washington DC was the hot location and stuff, and everybody was running like Patriot and things like that. But yeah, I've brought her in and out, and I've been debating on whether or not to have like a Rogue or just Shang-Chi, since so many people are dropping Shuri and just some high power plays and stuff like that. But yeah, like when you do hit the Rogue and she's a 1/3 in there and you can absorb something, like it's pretty dope.
Yeah, it's just like maybe I'm not seeing enough ongoing stuff. Like yeah, Patriot's there and I see it occasionally. That's probably the one I see the most. Otherwise, the ongoing stuff I am seeing are things like a 30 power Red Skull, and I'm like, I don't really want to take that away.
I don't.
So I'm not. I don't think Rogue's in like a crazy spot at the moment. Like, because like, what other ongoing stuff are you going to take at the moment?
Well, so one thing to consider is, and this happened to me. I was running, I don't know what kind of Dino deck it was, but I was running a Dino deck, and I had it protected by like armor or something like that, and they snapped, and I'm like, okay, what are you going to do? Is it Enchantress? But they rogued me, right? So not only did it take my ability, it gave it to them. And I think it was like a gamble because I had armor there or something like that. But anyways, when that happens, it's very surprising. But right now, we were just talking as we're recording this, the creator clash is going on. And there is a decent amount of dino decks there. And I can't remember because I just put up a video like kind of like with my predictions of the top 3. And I don't think I saw any Enchantress or any Rogue, which is very interesting to me since like, I love like my Magantress deck where it does have a counter for ongoing. Yep. So I don't know because I don't know how much you've seen it, but Dino does seem to be getting some popularity. Like you could toss them in like Thanos decks, I was running them in my Zabu Darkhawk deck, you know what I mean? So I think there is a place for Rogue. I wish Rogue was more than one power. Like Rogue and Sandman got done so dirty. Right? Like they are great cards, but I don't think they're so powerful. Like think about all the other cards, right? Like Shuri has 2 power. You know what I mean? Like there's so many other cards that have more power than these, but it seems like they put them at 1 power. Like they would just be way too much if they just had a little bit extra,
Yeah, we touched on this a little bit the last episode, and because I was saying, hey, I would love to see Sandman go down to 3 energy instead of 4. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem is it's such a slippery slope to kind of make those changes, which is why, of course, I was like, let's get a testing thing going, like a test server. But anyway, like it's hard to make those changes for cards because you don't want the counters to be more reliable than the payoffs. Mm-hmm. Because now the game becomes... Let me put it this way. Have you ever played Yu-Gi-Oh?
No, I have not.
So Yu-Gi-Oh is a very interesting card game overall. You either love it or hate it. And like I said before, I came from originally playing Yu-Gi-Oh competitively before I got into Magic and then Snap. And Yu-Gi-Oh really became and still is a very a win-lose kind of thing by turn 2 or 3, maybe 4. It's a very fast game, and not in the sense of like you're absolutely dead immediately, but like the presentation of the board state is turn 1. Obviously, I can't attack on turn 1. Only the person going second or the next turn that comes around you can attack. And the idea of going first is like, okay, I'm going to build a big board that has like a bunch of big monsters that end up, saying, I'm going to counter this thing. I'm going to negate this thing. I'm going to make sure that you can't do stuff. I'm going to do my best to stop your turn 2 and then go from there. But one thing that's built into Yu-Gi-Oh! Are things called hand traps. One big example is Ash of Blossom and Joyous Spring. That is a card that basically it's like, okay, it's in your hand. And the way with Yu-Gi-Oh! Works is like there's no cost to cards really, unless it specifies on the card that you have to do X, Y, and Z to make this card come out. There's no mana, there's no energy. It's just like you play your shit and they come out. Hand traps you just discard from your hand at any time to do something to an opponent's effect. So Ash would be like a big thing. Yu-Gi-Oh! Was searching your deck. So like I'm gonna play a card, I'm gonna search out a card that's gonna basically get me other cards and start my combo going to build my big board. And Ash is like, I'm gonna negate your search. And that can be very swingy, and that's why there are cards that are either banned or at 3 on the ban list for that game. You can have cards at 1 or 2 instead. It's called limited and semi-limited. But if you do that, it makes the game so swingy. One example is a thing called Max C. Max C is banned in the TCG, and it's not being played. And the reason for that is because it's a hand trap, and you basically go, like, let's say I'm going second, right? And you're going first, and you're setting up your board. And the whole thing of the game is special summoning monsters. So you get your first search effect, and I know you're going to basically build a decent board. I'm like, okay, Max C. And Max C says when you discard this card, every time your opponent special summons a monster, you draw a card. And there was a period when Max C was at 1. And the game became this thing of, if you have Max C and I don't, I lose, because you're putting me between a rock and a hard place of like, do I commit to just playing through it and letting you draw 7 cards over the course of my turn just to have this board? Because inevitably you will draw answers to my board to be able to go after it and like break it up. So that becomes this problem. That's why it's banned. It either needs to be at 3 where everyone has the ability to have it in hand and you can have a bit more of a fair thing, or not at all. Because at 1, it's very swingy. And because Marvel Snap is a game of singleton where you have singular cards in your deck as opposed to multiple copies like other card games being Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, for example, then it does kind of create that swinginess. Because how many times have you gone up against something, you're going to turn 6 on Snap, and you're basically going like, well, if my opponent has exactly Shang-Chi here, or Blue Marvel, or something like that, they win, and you're like, I got to roll with it, and then they have it. It does have this swinginess to it. So if you make Sandman, Rogue, and all these other counter cards stronger, especially in an environment where people are always saying that Cosmo and Armor and things like that are maybe too strong for what they do, and like Iceman even, then it creates this really swingy game state environment. And I don't think we want Snap to encroach in that thing.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see what you're saying there, and yeah, maybe it has a decent balance to it because like Rogue, but like Rogue, it's also like a random ability too, where like you can't target. So if they're running like something ongoing, like I was mentioning with like if you armor like your Dark Hawk or your Double Dino or something like that, but like yeah, like Rogue kind of had her like little like moment of shining like a week ago or something. And then now we don't really see many people using her and stuff, but maybe that's a good way to like sneak her into some decks. But yeah, like with Bass too in a negative deck, if you can hit her with Bass, then she turns into a 3/3. A little bit better.
Oh, absolutely. Bast has been like the absolute game changer for that deck. I'm not going to lie. It is a really cool card. And it makes those turns where you don't have either Zabu or Psylocke, which is also the Psylocke nerf was actually a buff for Mr. Negative in like Wong decks even, because now you have an addition. We talked about this a little bit if you reduced it last time. But yeah, it actually buffs those kind of decks to be like, hey, now you have an extra card. And what did I say last week? Rule of threes, right? Imagine if we get a third 2-mana, you get an extra energy next turn type of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like it makes me kind of want to play Thanos in more decks because I'm like, but if I can get the Time Stone, I'll have 3 of these fucking. Oh my god, that's probably not going to work very well. But like, it gets you thinking. And Zabu and being it allows for those turns going back to Bast where you don't have Zabu or Psylocke and you're like, I have to play Mr. Negative on turn 4, unfortunately. But at the very least, he's going to be a 4/3, and my Iron Man that I unfortunately drew because I had to is now a 5/3, etc., etc. And even when they Scorpion you, you're like, I still got a 5/2 Iron Man. I don't give a shit. It's fine.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
But then they Iceman it, and I'm really sad.
Have you tried the Cerebro 3 with Bast yet? You done a little bit of that?
I haven't. I've seen some lists. I had it basically made up, and it's in my deck lists at the moment. I haven't actually given it a fair shake yet. I don't. There's so many 3-drops, or I mean not 3-drops, 3-power creatures and heroes villains. Side note: what do we call? Do we just say characters? Like, because I
don't even know. I don't know cards.
Because like cards. We always in card games you refer to them as some type of noun, right?
Yeah.
Like magic or creatures. They're what are they in Hearthstone? They're creatures, right?
No idea.
Creatures.
Probably. There's something. Dwarfs,
like,
warlocks, something.
They're monsters in Yu-Gi-Oh! They're Pokemon, obviously in Pokemon and stuff like that. So like, do you just say like characters?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, it was funny. I was watching something where they're like heroes and villains, or Ben Brode in that last video, and they're like, oh, we do like a heroes and villains thing in battle mode. And I'm like, it's very hard. Like if you get like weird into like the Marvel lore, there's like, people who are constantly going back and forth between good and bad. I'm just like, I don't even want to mess with that. So yeah, they're characters.
But yeah, going back to your point about the Cerebro 3, there's a lot of 3 power characters in Snap, and it's like I don't know how to like approach it, and I've seen so many different lists. The only ones that are pretty constant is like Rhino is a constant in there, because you want to be able to get rid of those things. And some people do like Scarlet Witch, like again for those like locations that fuck with the Cerebro plan of either buffing or debuffing cards. Yeah, I'm just like, I fucking hate Scarlet Witch.
I hate her.
Like I really don't like Reality Stone even in Thanos. And like sometimes I'm like, okay, I'm losing here, and I'm gonna play Reality Stone. I'm going like, hey,
just Hail Mary it.
Come on, let's see if we get it.
Yeah, but it always is good. I don't know if you've ever done this, like a Reality Stone on a Limbo. You know what I mean? When they don't expect it. Yeah, that or a Scarlet Witch. But yeah, so my Cerebro deck. I don't have it right in front of me, but yeah, I got really into it. One night I was streaming. I played just Cerebro 3 for like hours. But one of the staples for me is Sentinel. Like when you have a Sentinel in your hand, and you're just able to pump it out because when you don't have other cards, or you want to hold on to your Bast until like you can bash your like Cerebro and your Mystique. Like it is just great, and you put so much power. I think like because you end up getting, because I also have Blue Marvel in there. I think you get 7 power per card out there, and when you're busting out Sentinels and stuff, you're just filling lanes. And when you get a good hand and you start out with Bast, like if you start out with Cerebro and Mystique in your hand and you Bast, like it is just phenomenal because then they're buffing each other too. But yeah, because I've never been a fan of Cerebro decks, but I really, really like that one. And then you can run Magic too, so you get more draws, kind of like you would in a negative deck. Yeah, and Valkyrie, I got her in there. Ooh. It's a fun deck. It's a fun deck.
It is an expensive deck, though.
Yeah, it is. But hey, Bast and Valkyrie both drop down, so pray for it in the reserves and have some fun.
Probably next month, like the one after this upcoming patch, which we'll touch on in a little bit with the drops, we'll probably get Valkyrie and Bast down to 3, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. I'm surprised they didn't drop like this new one. We'll touch on it, but like this new one, I was like, those should have been three like already. But yeah,
I agree. Yeah. But while we're talking about like overall like balance changes with Zabu and Surfer, you touched on like how you feel like Surfer is kind of like dead-ish. I really think the best Surfer deck at the moment, if you're gonna continue to play it, is a Patriot Surfer deck because it acts as a third Patriot essentially. Not quite, but pretty close because, Patriot, Mystique, they're all +2/+2. So if you get Surfer, then that just adds to it. Otherwise, Zabu is perfectly fine where it is. Still an extremely powerful card. Still a card that's going to be seen in a lot of decks. I still cannot fucking stand all the decks being, this is Zabu negative. This is Zabu control.
I saw you mention that.
This is Zabu Dino Darkhawk. And I'm like, can you fucking name it something else?
Yeah, like, at least blend the words. That's what I try to do. Like I called it like Zabantris, or like Bishbu, and stuff like that.
We have Bayro, and now they're not even calling it Bayro on their tier list anymore for Marvel Snap Zone, and it's Death Wave again. And
just Death Wave.
Can
just
give me some
creativity's gone.
Like I always try to name my decks something like funny or like fun. Like my Thanos deck, that I could just be like, it's Thanos Lockjaw. I named it Thanos. Thanos was right. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah. There you go.
And like you can call Galactus decks like World Eater decks, stuff like that. Or you can be a bit more memey with it. Like the Destroy deck I never play was Destroy This Dick. Like just fucking. But then I'm like, oh, it's mine that's getting destroyed constantly because I fucking suck with this deck.
Right.
Maybe this deck is bad.
Yeah.
But what do you think about the overall meta as we're seeing it grow? Touching on that tier list from Marvel Snap Zone, we do see them say Shuri is the top deck, along with the Zabu Control, Zabu Dino Darkhawk, or Darkhawk Dino, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And then that I think those are pretty much the 3 decks that are in tier 1, right?
Yeah, I actually haven't taken a deep look at this, but now this is interesting. As of meta right now, like I personally just fucking hate it. I've been having a rough season. It's interesting because they have Death Wave as tier 2. It's the one I'm running into the most and I'm having the most trouble with. I've been ranting about this. Like, man, I was one of the biggest leader haters in the world. I hated leader. I was complaining about leader, refused to play leader and stuff. And it wasn't until Death Wave had this resurgence where I'm like, God, I wish leader was here. Like, I just wish it was, especially with Arrow being such a powerful card, because Arrow is Arrow's like the new like Zabu, or it's one of those cards where people are just tossing it into every deck now, right? And
I've control deck.
Yeah, I've talked about this before. My brain's broken. I just never think of Arrow. I lost an 8-cuber today. I lost an 8-cuber against somebody playing the exact same deck as me. I have Arrow in my hand, and I didn't think of them having Arrow. That's how broken my fucking brain is, right? And I should think about it. I should get out, and maybe other people expect it. But maybe that's something we can touch on because for those of you who didn't know, my lovely co-host here has a YouTube channel, and he made a video on the arrow problem. So how about let's touch on that for a second.
Sure.
Arrow and the frustrations. And you and I had this conversation on Twitter, and Glenn got back to you. Just kind of run through that real quick, and we'll touch on arrow.
So yeah, you tweeted out on Twitter. You're going like, "Hey, can anyone actually like explain to me how arrow actually works?" Because like I've seen some people say it's based on order of play, it's random, whatever. And Glenn did respond after I quote tweeted you, added him, be like, "Hey, can you clear this up?" And he said that it actually basically shuffles the order of what cards will do. A fancy way of saying it's random, but I'm sure there's some nuance to that. Like in the event that you Artem Zola an arrow, the first one has to shuffle the order and the second one has to shuffle it, so it's not repeating the same order again.
Yeah.
So, but whatever. So the way arrow works, of course, is you play it and then it looks at what your opponent played and then essentially takes anywhere between 1 to however many cards they play, and it's like, okay, I'm going to shuffle this up like it's a deck and then draw this one. It's okay, move that one first. Draw the next one, is that one next. And that's how it moves it, which offers essentially zero playability around arrow. And I touched on this in that video that I made. The interesting thing about looking at like Snap.fan and looking at average cubes gained, win percentage, and like I looked between levels 80 and 100 for the cards being played. Arrow is the second most played card in those ranks behind Sunspot. And then other cards were, I believe, America Chavez, Cosmo, Armor, Magneto, Shang-Chi, and Lizard were the other few cards like in the first bit of that list. And I went through all of them. Okay, like, does that mean if they're putting up similar numbers to Arrow, as far as playability, how much you see it in like the average cubes and like win percentage, because they're all around like 52 to 55, 56%.
Yeah.
Which Arrow is sitting and I wanted to focus on, by the way, the win percentage of when played more so than when it's in your deck, because I think that matters. And Arrow's around 55%. Sunspot's at 55.9. So around 56. And I'm like, so does that mean Sunspot needs to get changed? Well, no, because Sunspot has playability around it. You can, Killmonger, Electro, even if you're playing that. If they hide it behind Armor, you can technically Polaris either Sunspot or Armor out of that lane to then set up your Killmonger. You can Valkyrie or Shadow King it to bring down its power. And then all the other cards are their tech cards that also have playability around them. Even Magneto, which is the closest example to Arrow, is one that's like, okay, this one is definitively moving these two cards, or not two, but two energy worth of cards, 3 and 4 cost. So you can still, if you're anticipating Magneto coming down on turn 6 from your opponent, you go, okay, this is my 4 cost, this is my 3 cost on the board. These are going to get moved. Where would they play Magneto? Okay, they'll move those into this lane. So now I have to add up the power that I need to play on these 2 lanes to make sure I overcome this. It's not perfect, right? You can still lose to plenty of games like that. But at least you're given the option to evaluate your options and choices and understand how much energy and power you can kind of go through in that turn. And if you can overcome it, and you can still retreat in that case. Arrow does not offer that whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Yeah, I was a big skeptic of Shuri. I kept saying like I refused to buy her from the shop. Like I just didn't want to. I played so much Shuri, and now I have her, and I'm using this deck that I don't know if KM Best like created it, but it has Shuri, it has Arrow and stuff. And yeah, like I've witnessed how powerful it is, right? You can like even Shuri it, and then it turns into 14. I even ran it earlier. It was funny. It was right after I was watching your video too, and I had one where they were playing a negative deck, and I'm like, they're dropping Iron Man, and if I could pull, if for some reason, if I pull Iron Man, I win this, and it just randomly pulled Iron Man. So that was a little exhilarating, but yeah, the fact that you can't play around it. But I will say this, and there's a plug for my channel. I just put up a video about a deck that's been beating it, and my buddy, he's jumped up 10 ranks in like less than a day running this deck. It's a deck from Jeff Hoagland. It basically floods the board because that's the only way you can play around Arrow. Like if you're just filling up all your slots, Arrow's not moving anything. You know what I mean? But also it takes in the cost reduction of She-Hulk. So if they wave, you're not at a complete disadvantage. Like it's a really, really, really good counter deck to it. Jeff Hoagland actually made a second version of it. But yeah, so yeah, I just wish Arrow Arrow had some of that rhyme and reason to it, right? So I can be like, okay, play this card. So if they arrow, it'll move here, whatever.
Well,
I think that would be totally fine.
Here's a great example. Leader. Leader had that playability around it by playing in order, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The way you played around Leader, you're like, okay, if they drop Leader here, like let's say you're going against Galactus, for example, and Galactus like to play Leader, and there's 2 slots left available, and they only have 1 slot. And you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to play this one. I'm going to play my Wasp first, so they get Wasp, and then I'll play my Null or like my Magneto or whatever, so they don't get that and copy it. So you could play around even Leader, one of the most vehemently hated cards in all of Snap's existence.
Yeah, you can play around it.
You could play around it. In Arrow, you just can't. And I do think that if you do change it to where it's similar to Leader, where you can order it. So if Arrow goes on a lane that has 2 slots available, and I have 3 cards I can play on turn 6 when I expect the Arrow, I can go ahead and play those first 2 cards. I'm like, those are getting fucking yoinked over there. Whatever.
Yeah.
But my big boy over here is going to help me win that lane that I need to. And that's so important. Because usually Arrow's being played in a lane that they're not winning. And you're pretty much going to win that lane against Arrow most likely. And this is why I think I don't like this idea of like, hey, let's just bring down his power again, right?
Yeah, it seems really lazy.
It could be a 5-3. It could be a 5-3, and I truly think it would still see a shitload of play because that move of just yoinking shit is so powerful. And I don't usually win games off of the 7 or previously 8 power of Arrow. Yeah. I win games off of Arrow taking away my opponent's playability.
Yeah,
that's why.
It's I'm a big Jeff fanboy, and I watch his streams like pretty much daily when I'm at work. But something he's been pointing out regularly is even if Arrow had 0 power in a situation, it won. Right? Like he's constantly pointing that out. Like they can nerf Arrow into a 5-0 card, and there's so many games where Arrow still wins. You know what I mean? The only other real counter to it is a Leech, and something I've seen people say is like, if you see Leech popping up in more and more decks, there's some kind of balance change that's needed, right? Because Leech is there to completely take away its ability.
I don't know if I buy that because Leech is, I think, a very underrated card constantly. I thought Leech was a cool card when I first started playing the game. And I'm
really?
Like, this is pretty good. This is a good card, isn't it? And then as I got into like pool 3 and stuff like that, I'm like, oh, this is definitely a good card. And of course, there are decks where you don't want to Leech, right? Like Patriot can be awkward if they already have Patriot on board, but if they're holding for that turn 6 Patriot Mystique, then you're like, GG, right?
Sometimes you hit an Ultron, that's helpful.
That is. And it's like, cool, now your Ultron's a 12 power instead of an 8 power. Good job.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Leech, I don't think Leech is a representation of something is wrong in the balance. I think Leech is perfectly fine, especially in, like, let's say Arrow didn't really exist. Bayro or Deathwave would still be a deck. They just find another card to fill it because that idea of playing She-Hulk and Death alone, that 22 power, is pretty massive, and you could find another 5-drop or whatever to or some other just drop to be a 4 cost to go alongside those, and you could still do well. Like they could just play Magneto instead, right? And like that's what they did before. It used to be like Magneto before people caught on about Arrow. So Leech would still be viable there, and I don't think that's a negative thing. I don't think that deck would be like an overbearing, like I feel really bad about playing against this. So I do think Arrow is certainly a problem. Unlike our spitballing of Zabu and Surfer on the last episode, I got nothing for Arrow, dude, other than the like potential like
just
changing
ordering
of, like,
the cards,
ordering it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's enough. Because
it is hard because you also got to think on turn 6, how many cards are you going to drop? Because the first thing that pops into my mind is like, a Valk deck. I usually have, like a Wasp and a, Yellow Jacket or whatever. So, I could drop these 2 things and boom. But in a Valk deck, you usually need those to fill a lane and use Valkyrie's ability. So you get, you have more power than the other side. So it is tricky. But yeah, that's one of the reasons that counter deck that I did the video on, like it has like Titania and sometimes you'll have like 2 demons because it has Moon Girl in there too. And you just kind of flood the board, right? So if they pull, they're pulling some powerful one cost, and then hopefully some of your big stuff stays, or you just have a lot of big things going into the last turn. You know what I mean? But yeah, because I don't know if that would be enough. So I'm not sure.
I've seen the people being like, give her the magic treatment, but I don't like that solution to all these cards. Like people said that for leader too, like give it the magic treatment so you can't play. And like what happens when Marvel Snap like a year from now has like 7 cards that just say can't be played on turn 6? Like that feels like a really weird like solution to cards. And I know Second Dinner is like they have to be thinking internally that Magic was I'm blanking on a word, the exception to the rule, right? Of like this is too shocking of a play on turn 6 to like completely fundamentally change the way that the game is working, and it swings it so much in favor of the Magic player that we have to make it so it can't be on turn 6. But this should be the only card we ever do this to, because otherwise, what does Snap become? And I don't think you can do that with Arrow.
Yeah, because there is like. There's definitely benefit to the surprise cards, right? That's what gets you the 8 cubers and stuff. And it's just finding the balance where it's like, hey, it's a surprise, but it's not too powerful, right? Like, for example, like a Shang-Chi can be a surprise card, an Enchantress can be a surprise card, but at least I can Cosmo it. You know what I mean? But if you're going into turn 6 and the other player has priority, like, you're not Cosmoing it. You know what I mean? So it's like it's really tricky, and hopefully they're paying the Second Dinner people the big bucks and they'll figure this out. But yeah, like we were just saying though, like whenever they're just like, oh, card's powerful, drop it 1 power, then we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? But yeah, I will say this, and I want everybody to know this. I actually lost to a post-nerfed leader the other day, and I laughed really hard because it just hasn't been working. They actually got leader from the raft, which is why I wasn't expecting it. But yeah, I played in the middle and they played all the way on the left and just copied my stuff. So I guess leader still does have a place. But yeah, because when they nerfed him by 1 point or whatever, that was just silly.
But they even said that was a Band-Aid treatment, right? They were like, we know you're going to be pissed at this.
But one thing I did want to mention too is when we saw the Zabu nerfs come out and the explanation they gave for it, I really think they're going to see that same trend with Arrow. So I would assume they're working on it because they're going to see those clusters, right? They're going to see Arrow being slapped into a lot of decks and a lot of like clusters around like these high win rates and stuff like that. And then maybe do something with it. I can't imagine what it is. But the other thing is too, how many of us, like, I think the Surfer nerf people kind of expected, but Zabu we weren't really sure on. So they might, and Leader, I think nobody knew what the hell they were going to do with Leader. So Second Dinner might come out with something really surprising to adjust Arrow.
Yeah, they absolutely could. And yeah, so outside of Arrow, are there any other decks that you're seeing maybe on the tier list or like other things that you think are like, this is the time to shine for those decks? Because I have one in mind, but I want to hear yours.
So the 3 decks that I've heard people say are the strongest decks right now are the Deathwave with the Arrow, and the She-Hulk, Thanos Lockjaw decks, and Galactus decks, right? But I think Deathwave is the strongest. It's very hard. You only have to kill like 2 cards, and you have when you wave, then you have like whatchamacallit. You have death and another card, right? While your opponent typically only has 1, unless they're purposely trying to counter it. But I don't think like Galactus, I don't think is too strong. Like I made a whole video about this like a month and a half ago. If you don't see Galactus coming, if you ever lose 8 cubes to Galactus, like I don't know what to tell you. And I know our next topic is the drops. But right now, there is a little surprise factor with Null. Null's going to be dropping down to 4, and that'll be a lot more common. I've just been expecting Null so much lately. I've retreated probably when I shouldn't. Just because I'm always like, if you have Null, I'm done. So, but anyways, those are the ones I'm hearing are the top 3 decks. I don't know. We don't even have enough time to go into this, but I think there is a decent variety of decks. But I will say there are patches of time when I'll play for like 1, 2, 3 hours, and 90% of them are Deathwave decks. And that's why I'm like, you guys, like, is this really less bad than when Zabu and Surfer were out there? Like if I'm just sitting there and I just see a turn 1, I see a turn 1 Squirrel Girl or a turn 1 Yondu, I'm like, here we go. Here we go.
I think, okay, so I want to mention that something real quick about that. Seeing a turn 1 Squirrel Girl breaks my heart because I know it's going to be a Barrow deck or a Death Wave. And I'm just like, bring me back to the good old days if this was just a Zoo deck or like, even a Patriot deck, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of bums me out that Squirrel Girl's been delegated to like the thing you just fucking kill to make death better. It's like, it's like
you're just there to feed my death.
Boromir and you're like, okay, bye-bye.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and the other thing is too, and there's like because I've been playing the Shuri deck and it has Sunspot in it, and like you could be like, here's my Sunspot, they lay down Squirrel Girl, and you're like, hey, maybe it's a Zoo deck, but then you lay down your Sunspot, you're like, my Sunspot's fucking dead.
Yeah,
if I don't protect this thing with armor, this Sunspot was just a waste.
I do think there is a good variety in Snap right now, and you mentioned that you're seeing a lot of Death Wave. I'm seeing a decent amount of Death Wave show up in my my laddering. But you know what deck I'm seeing more than anything else? Hella.
Oh, God,
Why?
yeah.
Why?
I don't know what's wrong with people.
I'm seeing so much Hella, and it's so infuriating when I lose to it, and I'm just like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
And I'm like, because like this one lane is like absolutely empty, and I have like 30 power there, and I'm just like, if that Infinite just goes there, I don't give a shit. And of course, it goes in the one lane, and they needed to. I'm like, you whore.
Yeah, right.
Like,
it is. You gotta admit though, it is fun when you realize they are playing a Hella deck, and then you watch Ghost Rider get discarded, and then Hella get discarded, and you're just like, snap.
Yeah, whenever I see like, it'll be turn 1 that they have no play, and I just see Black Cat go bye, and I'm like, are you okay?
Yeah. All right, here we go.
All right, cool. Here, let's see if we can get this going. Otherwise, outside of seeing that, one deck that I think has a pretty solid place right now is a classic Electro Ramp deck. I've actually been seeing it a decent amount recently. Turn 4 Leech, super powerful right now. Then going into like 6-drop, 6-drop, whether it's like Doctor Doom or like Odin onto that, or like Magneto, Doctor Doom, whatever. I think that has a really strong place right now because like that simple thing of I see Sunspot on 1, then like fucking Ebon guy.
Ebon.
Yeah.
Ebony Maw?
Ebony Maw.
There we go.
I want to call him. My brain was like Ebon Law. I'm like, nope, he's not a lawyer.
No, that's not it.
if Ebony Maw opened up a law firm, it'd be Ebon Law.
Yeah, there we go.
But yeah, turn 1 Sunspot, turn 2 Ebony Maw, and then turn 3 Electro, and you're like, okay, cool. Like I've lost to that deck a few times, and it seems like a pretty good spot. Like Leech is powerful in like the classic 6-drop 6-drop. You don't have to worry about like it kind of dodges arrow a bit more efficiently because things like Doctor Doom, right?
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's definitely a good deck, and I've run into it like I'd say less than 5 times, but because I run into it so rarely, it does mess me up because whenever I see Electro, my mind goes Galactus, right?
True.
So I start playing for that, and especially because I've been playing a Shuri deck that runs like a Cosmo and an Armor, it throws me off my game. Like I'll start putting Cosmo down where I think they might, do a Galactus. So the few times I have run into it, completely catches me off guard. But yeah, I do think that's definitely solid. But there are a lot of decks. Like earlier, I tweeted about this. Because this guy, I don't know where it was, but I don't know what kind of deck he was running. He dropped like, there was a Devil Dino, there was a Null in it, and there was like an Iron Man and Mystique in it. I was like, what the hell is happening? I was like I want to see
a deck that didn't draw negative.
Yeah, I was like, what deck is this? I want to see it,
My boy's making the mistake of playing Null in the negative deck because the way Null works, unfortunately, right now, which Second Dinner did address, and they said they were looking to change it, is that Null shows the potential power, and it glitches up with negative. So if let's say you've killed like 4 things and like Null's gotten to like 20 power in the deck and you negative, he now costs like 20.
Oh, geez.
Or it might max out at like I think 6 or whatever, and he becomes a 0 again, essentially.
Interesting.
So like Null's a little bit wonky at the moment. So there's that. But yeah, that sounds like an interesting deck.
Yeah. But speaking of null, you want to talk about the upcoming drops?
Yeah. So we got new series drops, and alongside that, we expect some balance changes. So let's talk about the drops first, and we'll try to not talk about Arrow because we just basically talked about her for a little bit. We do expect something with Arrow upcoming, or at least maybe a statement regarding her saying we're looking at her, and then we'll see what's up as we get more data. We're not quite sure yet. But okay, who do we got? Who's dropping from 5 to 4, and who's dropping from 4 to 3?
So from 5 to 4, we got Silver Surfer, Darkhawk, Null, and Sentry. Then from 4 to 3, Helicarrier, Agent Coulson, and Maria Hill. This is the one I was mentioning. I'm like, these should have been dropped to 3 like immediately. Just do it. I think they were trying to do something cute and take the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff. I'm like, let's just group them together and then drop them all at the same time. But yeah, personally, like, I don't know. We're gonna see Null drop, and like on one hand, I'm not worried about Null dropping because when I first heard about Null, my son and I were like, "This is gonna be the sickest card. This is gonna be so cool." But then when you actually play it in a regular Destroy deck, you're like, "It's not all that great." In the last episode, we talked about the potential of Nimrod with Null, and it still seems like it's gonna be tricky to pull off. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people have used their 6,000 tokens to buy. Like their first set of 6,000 tokens to buy either Galactus or Thanos. So we're going to see that a lot more, which is nice because expecting it more often helps you retreat a little bit more. But yeah, like I guess let's stick on Series 4 and I'll give my thoughts on Series 3. But with these, I don't mind Darkhawk, seeing him a lot more. Like I've been seeing him a little bit more lately already. I think a lot of people bought him right before the Zabu nerf, and now I'm just seeing him more. Sentry, I cannot wait. I think this is one of the most slept on cards out there. And long time ago, somebody opened up Sentry when it was Series 5 from a reserve. And like, I was going back and forth with him on Twitter. He was like complaining about it. I'm like, dude, okay. Sentry with Viper. That's basically a 2-cost Hobgoblin, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You put, you have Carnage in a deck, a 2-cost. You eat up your freaking Void. Boom. But now you put Sentry in a Valk deck, you turn that thing around for yourself and power it up. You know what I mean? Like, it is something like, I don't know. I just think there's so many possibilities, and it's a freaking 4/8. That's 2 more power than, White Queen, Rock Slide, all these other like 4/6s and stuff like that. And I think eventually people will catch on, but I think early on, if you have Sentry, you're going to catch people off guard with the different strategies you can use with him. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm stoked. Silver Surfer, whatever. If anybody spends 3,000 on Surfer, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, I like seeing Darkhawk drop. I have no regrets getting Darkhawk when he was 6,000. I think it's still a great card, and I think people are sleeping on Darkhawk a bit because they're overreacting to the nerf. Mm-hmm. I still think Darkhawk's a phenomenal card, especially even in a controlled deck of just being, hey, it's, even one of the best decks right now, according to Snapzone, is a Zabu Dino Darkhawk deck. So, like, I think there's still plenty of playability, and the way to pivot between those two is pretty great. Rock Slide's still cool. I still think if we got one more piece to throw something into the opponent's deck, just one.
I do think it feels lacking. It does. Like, but I told
Black Widow, but
yeah, I told you after we recorded the last episode, I'm like, yep, I guess Darkhawk is still strong. Like, all I got was 1 Korg, 1 Rock Slide, and like I had a decent amount of power out there. Yeah. And was able to do something. But yeah, I wish there was something else to muck up the opponent's deck just a little bit.
Okay. I know we're talking about this and then jumping into like potential changes and like balance changes. I still want to see fucking Black Bolt changed, right? I want to see. Well, I have an idea. Ignore the discard thing. Straight up ignore it. Give him a brand new ability, and also maybe reduce his power or his cost a little bit, maybe to like 2. Just no reason in particular. Just I'm thinking 2.
Yeah.
But let's go ahead, or 3, I guess is fine. Like make him a 3/5 or some shit, like a 3/3. But make his ability random card in your opponent's hand, shuffle it back into their deck.
Ah, oh, that would be cool. That would, I like that. I like that. Like, I think for the character Black Bolt, like the ability suits, so maybe a new card. But I really like that.
He's like yelling at it, and it's like
knocking
them
pushing
away,
it
like,
back.
Whoop!
Yeah,
which is
like
a nerfed version of what he actually would do and just obliterate you. But at least we can't have perfect flavor.
The reason I like that is because we need a card that is just as annoying as Iceman, right? Like, I think that would be as annoying as Iceman. Like, whenever Iceman comes out, like, I don't know about everybody else, but I stare at my hand and I'm like, don't hit this card, right?
I do. I'm like staring at this one card and I'm like, it's going to get hit.
But yeah,
and
it's a card
like Hela. I stare at Hela when there's a discard effect. I'm like, no, don't fucking dare.
Don't you touch it. But yeah, if there was a card like that just pushed the card back into their deck, I think that would be phenomenal. And hopefully Second Dinner's listen to this. That would be a cool disruptive ability. And like you said, like a low cost, like if you put it in the realm of like an Iceman, a Cord, or whatever, I think that would be a really cool ability.
What are the other Eternals? I know they try to do this thing with like the event, like the reason Thor was originally a 4 cost. They wanted it to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on the or maybe just 1, 2, 3, 4 on the Avengers original. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 because Iron Man is 5.
Oh no, this is the Inhumans.
Inhumans, yeah, not Eternals. Sorry. No, it is Inhumans. Eternals are also kind of bad. There's 2 bad Marvel properties in terms of the cinematic universe, and Inhumans is garbage. So I know Medusa's 2. What's her name is 3.
Crystal's 4.
Crystal's 4? Oh yeah, Crystal is 4. That's right.
Yeah, she's at 4.
Like, even with Zabu, she was bad. I remember. Who's 3? Who's a 3 cost? Inhuman. Oh, Lockjaw.
Maximus and Lockjaw.
And Lockjaw. Yeah.
So I'm looking at the list from the show, but I'm sure there's way more Inhumans. And we got there's a bunch here. Never mind, I just expanded it. We got someone named, I'm not as familiar with the Inhumans, but we got Louise, Gorgon, Bronaja, Mortis, Evan Declan. I'm guessing, I don't know, Triton. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of people here. Have one of them shove a card back in your deck.
Yeah, just give us a new one. I still think change up Black Bolt because I think he's just really. I'm sure if you look at the because I'm sure Second Dinner has far better way to track data, of course, because they have access to everything. And then because Snap Fan's based on like people using the trackers and stuff, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So Second Dinner probably looks at the least played cards, and I guarantee you it's Crystal and Black Bolt.
Yeah, do that. There we go. Right there. Change Crystal's ability. I think that would be cool. Because Crystal reshuffling your hand, like, we thought it would be cool with Zabu, and, like, I know a lot of us were using it early on. But, yeah, it's not great. Like, she disappeared shortly after. Just give Crystal a little bit of love with that one.
But going back to the drops, Darkhawk's great. Server's fine. I personally am of the opinion that if you miss out on a season pass card, it should just go straight to 4 at the very least, and then go to 3 the next month. Don't make people wait 3 months for a card to come down to accessible. And then Null, Seymour Galactus is going to be whatever. I don't really care about Galactus too much. I don't think it's as good of a deck as people think. I think it's a horrible climbing deck. I think it is one of, if not the worst climbing deck in Snap. Because if you love climbing at a rate of 2 cubes a game, because people retreat, then good on you.
Yeah.
But I don't, like, you have the patience of a saint. Like, props.
Right.
And especially with Null dropping and it becoming more accessible. Of course, Galactus is still 6,000 and will be there for the foreseeable future, unless they change their mind on the big bad thing. Funnily enough, maybe unpopular opinion, but if you're going to have Thanos and Galactus be the 2 big bads that say 6,000, kind of Null should be as well. Null is arguably more powerful than both of them.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I watched the Comics Explained video. Great YouTube channel. If you want to nerd out and really learn more about these cards and the characters, Comics Explained is a fantastic YouTube channel. And he combines his videos and make like a 3-4 hour long one. So yeah, I learned about Null and stuff. And yeah, and arguably like Kang would be one of them too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
There's
we'll
so
see.
many
I don't
big bads in Marvel.
Yeah.
There's so many, like technically Doctor Doom, I would argue, is one of
Oh
those.
yeah, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And thank God he's not, because Doctor Doom's a sweet card. So yeah, there are so many like formidable like villains in the comics, and I love seeing them. But yeah, Series 4, cool. Series 3, don't give a shit. I have all of them.
Yeah, you got them already.
And it's like, I actually, to be honest, I feel bad for people that don't have some of these Series 4 drops, especially if they're still in Series 3. But let's say you just finished Series 3 like a week ago, and then Maria Hill drops, Coulson drops, you don't have them, and you're like, now I got to open these stupid fucking agent cards. Now, Agent Coulson, that's my boy. He's great. He's a phenomenal card in Dino Decks.
Love him.
He's straight up amazing. The other two are kind of mid. They're just whatever. So yeah, those are cool. I don't know if you have any
You know
opinions
what?
on those.
You know what I just realized during this conversation? That's a straight up fucking troll move by Second Dinner. M'Baku is still Series 4.
I hope
Those, oh my God. Like, my subscribers know this, but I bought M'Baku. I bought him for 3,000 tokens.
You were pissed at seeing him so much.
Yeah, I was waiting. I think I was waiting for Darkhawk and stuff, and M'Baku was showing up constantly because
he was
the
last Series 4, and it's like 25% or no 65% chance of a Series 4 car showing up and then it's like a 20% chance of a Series 5, and then a 5% chance of an Ultimate. Get rid of Ultimate variants in the fucking shop. I'm not spending 5,000 fucking tokens. Put them in the stupid little thing for like variants and make it 5,000 gold. I don't give a flying fuck if you do that. Get it the fuck out of here. I'm tired of seeing Thor. Stop it.
Yeah. You know what's funny? I rarely ever get those. Like, I've only seen them
so fucking often.
I've only seen them a couple times. But yeah, no, I 1,000% agree. But yeah, that and move M'Baku down to Series 3. This is definitely a troll.
Wouldn't you want to, as Second Dinner, to make your ultimate variants just like an absurd amount of gold that pop up that a bit more accessible? Yes. They're still rare in the sense that like you make it so that they're impossible to open, like in a reserve. And then like make it like a 0.00001% chance. I don't care. But if you make it a bit more accessible to buy straight up with a currency that I can just go to the shop and spend money on, but you make it a $50 thing, then you probably make more money off of it.
They're speaking of variants. God, I wish I could remember his name on Twitter. He follows me too, and if he listens to this, I feel bad. But he has every single variant. And
I've seen a couple of those, yeah. That
is insane to me. That's got to be thousands of dollars, right? Has to be.
Oh yeah, easily.
Easily.
And I know I've spent a decent amount of money in this game. I've probably spent like $600.
Yeah, absolutely. I've reinvested most of the money from the YouTube channel back into this. But like, I cannot. I was talking with somebody about this. I have some people ask me, some of my subscribers, they tag me on token shop stuff, but they also ask me about variants. I'm like, don't ask me about variants. Like, anytime I even consider getting a variant, I'm like, that gold could be used towards buying missions and leveling my collection and hopefully opening up a new card. Like, I'm all about just new cards. If I was series complete, maybe. But other than that, nah.
I'm a slut for pretty things in games and like in card games especially, but in physical card games more than anything. Like, I love foiling out my Magic decks. I always love getting like the highest rarity available for Yu-Gi-Oh decks when I played. I am a just super slut for that shit. However, in video games, I also am, but not for Marvel Snap, because because of the way that the game works and how you collect things, it's a bit more like not big of a reward to me. If I unlock a cool variant, I'll get a couple here and there if I really like it. But outside of that, no. But in games like, let's say, Call of Duty Warzone, that I like to play with some buddies, I love getting like skins there. And then like Smite, I play, and I like getting cool variants and skins there. Like that, and like Rainbow Six Siege, when I used to play that a shitload. Same thing. I like getting the elite stuff, but that's because the game is built in a way where you're like, you have such an easier way to progress and unlock things that I don't have to worry about spending money to get a fucking card before I can make it pretty.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's same. Like, because the other main game I play is Multiverses. It's a little like it's like Smash Brothers clone or whatever, and I don't spend a ton on that. But if they have like a cool looking skin, like I'll get it because skins are so expensive in video games now. Like I used to play Dota 2, and back then you can get like a bunch in a bundle for like $20, and now it's like $20 for one. But I don't mind supporting
codes for all the skins in games.
Oh yeah, that was beautiful. But yeah, I don't mind supporting games a little bit, but the skin thing that's a whole other conversation. But yeah, in this I'm just like, if I unlock them, cool. And my collection track has finally after months stopped giving me so many damn pixels. I've gotten some really cool variants lately. Yeah, like I'm very happy about this because like, yeah, I think it's just like we've given this poor guy too many ugly ass pixel variants, but yeah, but real quick too, I do think as far as the Series 4 to Series 3, I like Coulson, fantastic, love him. Maria Hill, never used her. I have an Agent Dino deck I've done a couple videos on that actually I used to get to Infinite last season by exploiting Luke's bar, but when it was a hot location. Yeah. But I do like Helicarrier for like a 1-2 combo of Lady Sif and Ghost Rider is huge when it gets pulled off. I really enjoy that. Yeah, like I've seen some people tossing it in MODOK decks recently, you know, with like a collector and stuff like that. But yeah, I think Agent Coulson of those three is probably the best. Helicarrier, maybe we'll see some people figure some more stuff out. But there is something to be said, like I'm interested in the tournament going on right now because a couple people had decks with like a Coulson and I don't know, maybe Helicarrier? I can't remember, but something that gives you random cards. I think the surprise factor in battle mode is absolutely huge because one of the things about battle mode is when you keep playing the same deck over and over and over and you're playing around it. But if you have a deck that's just pumping you different cards, they never know what to expect. You know what I mean?
That's a fair point.
But like with Maria Hill, like Maria Hill and Shanna, I don't want a random one drop. Like just don't give it to me. Like if Maria Hill gives me like an Ebony Maw or something, and my deck's not built around it, like I don't want that.
I think Shayna is by far better than Maria Hill because it puts them on board, and I think Shayna has really cool playability. Things like I think with Zabu now, like going into like Kazara, Shayna type of thing, it feels more flavorful. And then like even Dazzler in that kind of deck feels kind of cool. Like I think that's a really interesting way to go about it. But I think Maria Hill is just a little too weak. Yeah, she costs 2, and you get a random 1 cost. I feel like she could maybe get away with giving you a random 1 and 2 cost.
Yeah, that's what I don't get. Like, why they do her dirty like that? You have Agent Coulson at 3 and 4 because, like, look at like Polaris and Magneto, right? With Polaris moves like a 1 and 2. Magneto moves a 3 and 4. Like, hey, have Maria basically be a lesser version of Coulson. Boom. Like then I would dig her. I would dig her. Give me a random 2 cost as well.
She would see more play, and I think she could even possibly be up for consideration in a Dino deck because it adds 2 cards.
Yep. There you go.
But again, like I said, we do have expectations with the series drop going alongside potential balance changes. What do you see coming? Like, what do you want to see? Do you have a wish list of cards? And I guess we have 2 things. There's realistic, what probably should change, ignoring Arrow. We talked about her enough. And then wish list. What would you like to see changed?
See, I'm a terrible person to ask because this happened just leading into the Zabu and Surfer nerfs. I'm of the belief of like mostly learn how to play around stuff, right? Learn how to play around stuff unless it's just insanely powerful. Like, I ranted about leader right now. Okay, Never mind. I just got triggered saying this. Wave's interactions with different cards. I can't remember what Jeff said, but he had a very good explanation for it about how the cost reduction works. It feels insanely broken the way Wave works with Death and She-Hulk. It should not work like that. Like Death is a 9 cost card and like it takes the work out of it. It really takes the work. Like when you have Death, you got to work for those destroys, right? But when you have Wave, Like you destroy like two things, like a Yondu and then one other. So Yondu takes one of yours, so you're not even destroying one of your cards, right? And then you could destroy anything else. You wave, boom, like it is bonkers how that works. So like if you could wave into a death and like nothing else, I don't know, like you get a 12 cost, and you only killed one thing, but I don't know. I don't know what the math was on it, but there needs to be something done. I just think it's or wave should affect you and not your opponent. The fact that it puts you in this excellent position and completely screws your opponent is very, very powerful. I did not like the wave, the whole death wave thing happened like I think right before I started playing. Like I know people talked about leader being an answer to death wave. I never experienced it before, right? And now I am, and I'm like, fuck this, because I hate sitting there looking at my hand and saying I have counters sitting here and I can only play one, right? I can only play one. Now I got to guess. So something like that. Either it doesn't do as much to reduce the cost of multiple cards in their hand, like She-Hulk and Death, or it doesn't affect your opponent as badly. You know what I mean? Like there's something going on with that.
I have a little bit of an outside of the box kind of answer to wave. You leave her exactly the same. Okay, but stay with me. Have you ever noticed how, let's say I'm holding on to something like any 3 cost, right? Maximus. And then my opponent Iceman's it. If I play Zabu, Maximus doesn't drop down to a 3 cost. He's still technically a 3 cost that's brought up to a 4. But wave, so like maybe, because I feel like Iceman should change the cost of the card. Because if wave can alter the cost of a card to be like it's now 4, but still get its cost reduction like Death and She-Hulk, and like, for example, if you have a 4 cost in hand, like with Zabu originally, and someone waved against you, your 4 costs were still 2.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you should make it so it's an even playing field on all those types of effects, where Zabu changes altered things. Or like, let's say you have Titan on the board in the same spot as Dream Dimension.
Yeah.
Right? Where Dream Dimension on turn 5 makes things 6 cost. Titan says 6 costs get reduction to 5. Now it just negates Dream Dimension. Your 6 cost is now just a normal 5 cost. Like, I feel like you just got to make it consistent on how that works.
Yeah, that honestly, what you just hit on is one of the most frustrating things. Like I hate when I I'll like post about it. We in the Discord, we have the card interactions channel or something. I'm like, wait, whatever. And people are like, oh, well, actually this and this. I'm just like, dude, just make it consistent. Like, I got to memorize 200 cards and their abilities already. Like, fucking make this consistent. Like, yeah, if Iceman hits a 3 cost, takes it to 4, my Zabu should then reduce that down to a 3 cost. That's just how it should work across the board, I had an instance the other day where Plunder Castle screwed me on something. Like, I went into it thinking, I could play, I think it was maybe a She-Hulk or something like that.
Yeah, that's a great example.
Like just make it consistent, and I will shut my stupid mouth. Like, do it one way or the other. Let me know that it is never going to work or it's always going to work.
Yep.
That's it.
The costs are too inconsistent, because I'll give you a great example. I have a challenge in my missions that say you have to play a 5 cost card. If I play a negated, Mr. Negative Iron Man, it counts towards that as a 5 cost card. Because I've looked and I've checked, and I made sure I only played that one card, and I got the little tick on it. That counts. But at the same time, if the game can count that as a 5 cost in my challenges or whatever, why does it say why now? If I have a Titan on board, right, and I have the Plunder Castle, why can I not play my 6 cost out of that lane anymore? It's still technically like the Iceman thing. It's still technically read in the game as a 6 cost, but the thing on board is saying no, it's not. So you you can't have your cake and eat it too, like one of those things. You have to make it consistent across the board. Either it all works this way or it doesn't. You got to make it 100% consistent.
I was having a conversation in my Discord too with someone about, like, because Captain Marvel's another one that just drives me bonkers. I didn't think I had much for this topic. Here's another change I want to see. Captain Marvel has the only in the game, the only description that says if it wins you the game, right? By default, Captain Marvel should go last past everything else, past, Dracula, right? Mysterio. One of my subscribers, I can't find the thing right now. He got it from the main Discord, and they like listed it, and I'll find it at some point. Maybe I'll make a video on it. But yeah, they actually discussed like the actual priority, and like Captain Marvel was the first one. I'm like, fuck that. Like no, she should absolutely go last
because she, for example, she doesn't read Mysterio. She doesn't see Mysterio in that lane. And I guess there's a little flavor to that. I guess I could see Mysterio taking priority over Captain Marvel because he's the illusionist, and like, that should be the last thing. And that's a pseudo counter to Captain Marvel. But also says if it wins you the game, and Captain Marvel will always go to the winning. It should say if he wins you the lane.
Yeah, something.
Because I see Captain Marvel like I'm winning all 3 lanes, and she's like, okay, I'll move to this one. Now I'm winning 1 out of the 2. Or 3.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still won the game, bro. Like,
yeah, it's true. And then, and sometimes I have Captain Marvel fly when I look at the board, I'm like, oh, I lost. And then she moves. I'm like, what the fuck was that? Like, don't cock tease me like that. Like, why did she move? Like, she'll just move, and I'm like, I still lost. Why did you even do that? So that's something I wish. And just like change her description. Like, don't have it say if it wins you the game. You know what I mean? It took me so many cube losses and just a lot of playing with Majantress to really understand the mechanics of Captain Marvel. But it still drives me absolutely nuts when I'm looking at a thing and I'm like, oh, well, I played her, later than this, or I played her before they played that. So I'm screwed. But yeah, other than that, like balance changes, I'm not too big on. I really try to preach to people like, hey, get creative, kind of like what we were talking about with the shitty naming conventions. Like, get creative. There are so many cards in this. I love, right now I'm running a contest for people to build me Shadow King decks. I'm loving the creativity. I just want to see people get creative, right? But people get stuck and stuff. So, but yeah, what are your thoughts? Do you have any wish lists on balance, nerfs, buffs?
Not really. I want to see some cards get reworked, like Black Bolt, obviously, and like I wish. So like back years ago, there was on Rainbow Six Siege, every season is an operation whatever. They introduced a new map, like new like operators, stuff like that. There was one that's was infamous, but I guess is now like looked back on fondly. It's called Operation Health. It's where Ubisoft was like, holy shit, our game is broken in so many ways. We need to fix this. So they halted all production on like new people, new operators, new content. And they're like, sorry, guys, we got to spend this entire season just like, we got to fix this game. We're sorry. We're going to give you some stuff to make up for it, but we need to fucking fix this. I want that to be, I wouldn't mind that if that was a season. Like, honestly, give us a season of Marvel Snap where it's just like, look, this entire season, there's no season pass card, but you get like 7 reworks that we've been working on, right?
Yeah.
And like instead of like the new like Series 5 cards come out, it's this date, instead of getting this Series 5 card out of the 3, it's like, here's this rework, and then next date, here's this rework. We've been working on these for a while. Like, give me something like that. There's too many cards that are just kind of bad and you play.
Yeah, I 1000% agree. I've been playing, I started in the middle of the Miles Morales like symbiote invasion season, and I'm trying to think. The only like real rework I've seen, well, I guess it's 2, but Wolverine and Leader, right? Where they like reworked them. And I know people playing since the beta, like I wasn't around during the Magic change, and people talk about bigger like reductions or whatever, like what was it? Mr. Negative used to be like a 4/4 or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, I would really like to see some like complete reworks, redesigns of cards, which I understand take more time. But like you've mentioned in the last episode, and we should probably hit on it every episode, they need to create like a kind of test server for creators. One thing, I guess I'll bring it up. I applied. They have a creator program for Marvel Snap, like through Marvel Snap, where you get advanced looks at stuff. And I don't know the way they kind of said it, and there's going to be an NDA, so I can't talk about it too much if I get accepted. But you get an advanced look. I don't know if it'll include access to some test servers and providing input and stuff, but I'm hoping it is,
Yeah. There are a couple, I won't name them, because they've had to sign NDAs. But there are a couple of content creators that I've spoken with about like working with them and that kind of thing through like editing or like any other avenue that they've said like I have this. So if I were to be hired or whatever, I'd have to sign an NDA as well alongside them because I'd be privy to that information. But yeah, so like that's a thing, and like they could make better use of that, and they could do more things with their community. And Second Dinner has all the tools available to them, and they're kind of doing the same thing that I see a lot of other companies do of just not utilize them to the full advantage. And I'm hoping that they start to make use of that.
For sure.
But outside of Arrow, though, I don't see any really necessary changes right off the bat. Maybe Wave, I guess. I could see them just randomly be like, okay, Iceman's a 1/1 now, Armor's a 2/2 now, have fun. Stuff like that. But otherwise, yeah, I don't envision much. I actually have very low expectations for this balance.
yeah, we'll see.
And I know the last thing that we want to go over is going to be Ghost. It's a new card.
Oh yeah, Ghost.
And I know you plopped her into your Majantress list. You've been hype about her to help you win those games that you've had to retreat on where you just happen to have priority and it kind of sucks. So real quick, give me your first impressions. What do you think of her?
Yeah, so I love Ghost. I've been posting some of my wins. What sucks is Ghost came out during the Quantum Tunnel, so like most of us who ended up getting her like didn't really play her. I played a few games and it was just complete chaos because the Quantum Tunnel will pop out. But I love this card. This is my most anticipated card. Like there's a bunch of cards that I'm like, oh cool, I'll get them, whatever. But Ghost is one where I'm like, this is finally going to win me some games. I plopped her in Majantress. I plopped her in my Valkyrie deck as well. And it did absolutely win me a few games. And like, it is such a good feeling because it's like, man, I don't know. What is it? It's like having like a ache in your back and finally seeing the chiropractor. You're like, oh, you did it. You did the thing. It feels so good just knowing that that you're going to win and not have to. Because like I always felt it was an issue of being punished for keeping that tempo the whole time and keeping the lead. Yeah. I'm like, why am I going to be punished for punishing this person? You know what I mean? Like, but I guess it makes sense, give them a chance. If you're like just dominating, then they can like, use some counters on you. So yeah, I absolutely love it. But, we discussed this, we could brainstorm a little. I cannot believe, as the Majantress master over here, how I did not think about Ghost being a 1 cost and running this deck with Killmonger, right? Yeah. Now, I will say, I will let myself off a little easy. One of the things with Majantress was there were a lot of Zoo decks, right? Zoo decks are kind of, they pop in and out of the meta, right? Like my son, for example, he started seeing a lot of success with the Dracula Zoo deck that people were running. But yeah, they come in and out, and there's not as much of a place for Killmonger in that deck. Killmonger was just one of those core cards because you have Killmonger, Shang-Chi, and Enchantress, just 3 counter cards, right? So you could take out Zoo decks, you could take out Big Power, you could take out Ongoing, boom. But the obvious issue I'm running into now is, well, if I have Ghost out there and Ghost is there for the last turn, I don't want Killmonger there. And Killmonger's purpose, aside from taking out Zoo decks, is that we also have Hood and Nova in there, right? And the only other option to destroy your -2 Hood or get rid of that Nova is Carnage, right? So now there's a few things going on, right? And now I'm thinking like, how powerful is Nova? How often has Nova won me a game? Because I will say this too. There have been plenty of games, and it does take some strategy and why Majantress has a certain learning curve, where I have to put my Hood out there, and then it turns into a situation where I got to play Killmonger and sacrifice my demon. You know what I mean? Yeah. So anyways, what we were talking about, now we could dive a little bit into it, is I think I got to get rid of Killmonger, right? But then I'm left with 3 other cards, Hood, Nova, and Carnage, right? Yep. Because I don't know if they're serving their purpose. But one thing is, that was a lot of stuff to buff up my bishop towards the end too. You know what I mean?
True.
By just dropping a lot of things that are kind of on the lower end of the curve. So yeah, if you got ideas, like that's potentially 4 slots that are available. I might experiment with some things. Off the top of my head, I'm thinking of things like a Cosmo, you know what I mean? Which could do decent. Possibly, I don't know. Yeah, I was thinking possibly an Absorbing Man, but if I did that, I would want to toss in a Zabu too. So that way you can like double Shang-Chi, double Enchantress, right? So say they were running like 2 Dinos or 2 Darkhawks, something like that. You can boom, boom. So I don't know. There's a few different directions, but there's a lot of potential if I'm rotating out 4 cards.
Yeah. So if you take out those 4 cards, that little destroy package is now gone. I'm trying to think of like what you could run to like help buff other stuff. Looking through it, I mean, so do you already have like Iceman, stuff like that?
No, I don't have any of those early game, just annoying cards.
that might be the way to, like, the simple thing could just be go like Iceman, Scorpion, maybe like a small Storm package, like Iceman, Scorpion, then like Storm and like Juggernaut or something.
Yeah, there you go. Storm would be good because of the Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So that way, even if you don't draw it, like even like something like Lizard, it's a lower cost. It helps you kind of like, be flexible to go into that stormed location. Also can be dropped later in the game to help buff Bishop. The only other thing is like there is some merit to even cutting Bishop if you don't feel confident in your other lower cost stuff. Because the upside of playing like Killmonger, the Hood thing, and then like Carnage, those can all get pretty big on their own right. Killmonger is like 3. Nova can then act as another essential like pseudo hit for Bishop as well, especially your entire board. And then you have a 1/6 from the Hood, and then Carnage can be like a 2/4, 2/6 even in some cases. So that makes Bishop look a lot better because your supporting cast around him is significantly buffed, right? But now if you're going into that route of like, okay, Scorpion, Iceman, stuff like that, stuff that you really want to have on early turns, where the other ones weren't as like a necessity in that sense, I think it makes Bishop worse.
Yeah, I'm trying to think too. Right now, what I'm doing on my other monitor, I'm pulling up like the Sarah control deck, which is very similar. You know what I mean? And kind of seeing what people put in there. But a lot of them do still run like a Carnage and a Killmonger and stuff. But yeah, I see what you're saying. My thing is like Bishop has won me some games. I love getting him buffed, but like I don't know how much that'll affect it taking these other lower cost cards out. But like I was talking about that counter deck I made to the Death Wave too. That did have Hood, but it also has like a Titania in there too, right? And a Moon Girl, right? So those things could even like buff a Bishop later on. Like if you're just able to flood the board at the end and play smart, Titania definitely has a learning curve too. And I'm wondering, because that's a 1/5, right? That you could save for the last turn. Because one of the challenges too with Magantress is when you do drop magic, you're sitting with a 6 energy turn, right? And you have Captain Marvel, and you can either play Captain Marvel with a 1 cost, or you could play Captain Marvel with a 2 cost on turn 7. And that's where things get kind of tricky, because sometimes I'm only playing Captain Marvel turn 7, right? So it's like, if I can find some lower end cards where I could drop like Captain Marvel and she can move around, you know what I mean? Like, I think there's a lot of potential with this, and maybe that's the next contest I do. Figure me out a deck, removing these cards, find me some more cards to put in. I'll test them out.
Yeah, and there's other like tech cards you can go with, like if you want to lock down a lane, like with your small shit. There's like Goose, there's Daredevil if you want to like go with like maybe a little extra something 5 in the 5 cost to like be flexible in that, be a bit more controlling. But I think the best way to start with it is try out the more traditional control avenue of Iceman, Scorpion, Storm, and then something to go with Storm, whether it's Lizard, Jessica Jones, or like Juggernaut, and then kind of go from there and see if you feel good about it. and then just see how good your bishop is at that point. Maybe it's still decent enough because, I mean, you're not always going to have those cards on turn 1 and 2, right? So maybe a late game little push with that is, nothing to scoff at. And then, of course, the ultimate plug. Go to the Discord server of Bootman. Leave some comments over here on the comments section below this video. Give us some feedback. What do you think about the entirety of the scope that we've talked about today? What do you think about the Series 4 drops? What do you think about the Zabu Surfer nerf? How do you feel about that? What do you think about the overall construction of the new direction of Magentris with Ghost? How are you going to, get rid of that destroy package? What are you going to do to buff it up? And if you're in the Discord server, which if you're not, I recommend going down in the description below and joining it, you can go ahead and create a contest, Mr. Chris, for your listeners to get them to build the deck of your dreams and make sure that you guys can climb together. Because if you win and make Infinite, then your viewers have also won and made Infinite vicariously through you. And I am the mastermind behind this entire thing to help you get there. So I have also made Infinite vicariously through you.
It's a team effort.
But with that, we love you guys. We appreciate you. We love the feedback, the comments, the support you guys have given us. And of course, if you want to find Chris over on Twitter, it is
at BootmanMSTZ, also linked down in the description.
And of course, you can find me at Bradcifer as well. It will be linked down in the description. And you can find Chris at this channel you're watching these videos on now. But if you happen to be listening over on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, whatever, go ahead and go to Chris's YouTube channel. That will be in the description of that as well. And of course, there's my YouTube channel, which I am getting up and running again. It used to primarily do like magic stuff, and I usually did a lot more like helping other content creators and not doing my own thing. We're going to try doing my own thing and see how that goes. And we'll see how that is. And again, you guys are the best, and we hope you listen to us the next time. See ya.
Peace.